Have you ever driven past an old building and suddenly been hit with a childhood memory? That's exactly what happens to me every time I drive through town and pass the old Rax building. These days, it's a foot doctor's office, but years ago, it was home to one of my favorite fast food restaurants as a kid. And here's the crazy part. Rax Roast Beef once had over 500 locations across 38 states. Today, only 6 are left. How does a restaurant chain get that big and then almost completely disappear? That's what we're talking about today. Before we get started, if you enjoy nostalgia, forgotten restaurants, old businesses, and stories from the past, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Nostalgia Project. It really helps the channel grow. And let me know in the comments. Do you remember Rax? What was your favorite menu item? Now let's take a trip back in time. Rax started in 1967 in Springfield, Ohio. The restaurant was founded by Jack Roshman and originally operated under the name Jack's Roast Beef. Over the next several years, the company changed ownership multiple times and even changed names before finally becoming Rax Roast Beef in 1977. Back then, the concept was simple. Serve quality roast beef sandwiches quickly and at a reasonable price. And honestly, that's all it needed to be. The idea caught on. As the years went by, Rax expanded into more and more cities across America. Throughout the late 1970s and into the 1980s, the chain experienced explosive growth. By the mid-1980s, Rax had become one of the largest fast food chains in the country, with more than 500 locations spread across 38 states. That's hard to imagine today. Most younger people have never even heard of Rax. But at one point, there was a good chance you had one in your town. I was pretty young when Rax was around, but I still remember it. And I remember liking it. In fact, one thing I always remember is that the roast beef tasted different from Arby's. Maybe some of you remember the same thing. I can't tell you exactly why it tasted different all these years later, but I remember liking it enough that I was genuinely disappointed when our local restaurant closed. As a kid, you don't think much about businesses shutting down. You just know one day your favorite place is gone. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened with Rax. The strange thing is that Rax wasn't failing because roast beef sandwiches suddenly became unpopular. The company was actually successful. The real trouble started when management decided success wasn't enough. Instead of continuing to focus on roast beef, they wanted to transform Rax into something bigger, a lot bigger, and that decision would eventually change everything. Rax began adding all sorts of new menu items: salad bars, baked potato bars, taco bars, pizza, pasta, and various other items that had absolutely nothing to do with roast beef. At the same time, many locations were redesigned to feel more upscale. Some restaurants featured fireplaces. Others included live plants. Many had large glass solariums where customers could sit and eat. The goal was to create what executives described as a more premium fast food experience. The problem? Most customers weren't looking for luxury fast food. They just wanted a good sandwich. Imagine stopping somewhere because you're craving roast beef and suddenly being handed a menu that looks like a buffet, an Italian restaurant, and a fast food chain all rolled into one. Customers became confused. The brand became confused. And eventually the company became confused. One of the most important lessons in business is that people need to know what you do. McDonald's sells burgers. KFC sells chicken. Arby's sells roast beef. But what exactly was Rax trying to sell? By trying to be everything, it slowly stopped being known for anything. The giant menu also created operational headaches. More ingredients, more inventory, more preparation, more waste, and higher costs. While Rax was busy expanding into every direction possible, competitors were focusing on doing what they already did well. Sales began slipping. Then they began falling, and by the early 1990s, Rax was in serious financial trouble. But somehow, the story gets even stranger. In what might be one of the most bizarre marketing decisions in fast food history, Rax introduced a character named Mr. Delicious. Now, if you've never seen these commercials, I highly recommend looking them up after this video. There's something else. Unlike the cheerful mascots used by other fast food chains, Mr. Delicious was a middle-aged cartoon man who openly talked about things like divorce, getting older, disappointment, and even medical procedures. I'm serious. While other restaurants were trying to make kids laugh, Rax created a mascot who sounded like he needed a therapist. The commercials developed a cult following years later because they